problem. So.
Yeah, I mean, one thing's for sure,
Plus,
she never bit me.
Word got out.
Yeah.
This little gringa.
She will hit you on the forearm.
Out, man. She got the cray. Hi, this is
Scout
and William from Hypermentilating,
the podcast,
a show that follows life and change through the eyes of a father and a daughter. Join us as we find our way together. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Hello, Irish.
Hello. The first topic of today's episode is Christmas.
Christmas. Let's do it.
Christmas is my favorite time of the year because it's my birthday and it's Christmas. And I can't be ripped off like a lot of Christmas babies are because my birthday is before Christmas,
By
not
ripped
after.
off, you mean not get as much loot?
Exactly, because my birthday is before Christmas. So you guys can't say like, oh, well, your Christmas presents are also your birthday presents.
As if anybody has ever said that to you. You are a Christmas double dipper.
I am, yeah. I love it.
Yes, no, you make out like a bandit on Christmas.
Yeah. My second favorite thing about Christmas is actually Christmas Eve, because we sit around and we read A Night Before Christmas, or The Night Before Christmas, and we set out Santa's beer and carrots.
Carrots?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, Oreos.
Yeah, man, Santa
Oreos.
enjoys a beer and a cookie.
Yeah. So yeah,
Carrots.
Christmas Eve is my favorite.
Santa's not a vegan.
We put the lights on the tree and around the whole house, and yeah, it's just kind of has, even though we're older, it still kind of has that magical feel to it. So that's what I like about Christmas.
For me, my favorite part of Christmas is you guys, like how much you enjoy it and getting the tree out, and come 1st of November, can we put up the tree? Can we put up the tree? Like
Yeah,
how happy you guys are. When I was a kid, I used to like. I mean, most of it's the gear, getting all the stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna be honest,
kids
when
like
you're
to
a kid.
say, "Oh, well, I only like Christmas for the spending time with my family," and it's like, okay, brother.
No, man. It's for this.
Don't lie here. We all know why you like Christmas.
Growing up in Canada, though, I did like, when I was little, I liked all of the music and all of the things that accompanied it. It just had a feeling of, I don't know, something different. But it did all revolve around the commerce. I mean, it wasn't very long in before you were like, yeah, Christmas, that means stuff.
Yeah.
And we went pretty big. Like my mom and dad my dad would have the cameras rolling. We couldn't come down until the cameras were rolling, and and a ridiculous amount of presents. And I mean, it was fun. The night before, how you can't sleep, right?
Yeah.
It's impossible to go to sleep when you're a kid.
On Christmas night, I'll go to bed at like 3 a.m. and wake up at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So I'll end up getting like a 3-hour sleep.
And you want to go and sneak down and check things out. Or that was one of my favorite parts of Christmas too, was trying to hunt out presents around the house, sneaking into my parents' room and seeing if I could find anything.
always tries every Christmas when we were like 6 to 10, would try and get me to snoop in here. Because he'd be like, Scout, I think I know where Dad keeps the presents. So he'd drag me into his little scheme. And he'd be snooping around, and I'd just be standing there, like, looking around, like, hoping you don't
never
come
tried
out.
to open a present under the tree?
No.
You're not a present opener? Mm-mm. Oh, I was. I'd be out there, like, scientifically trying to figure out how I could peel back the tape without anybody knowing.
Nope.
For sure.
And I remember every time Madish thought that he found the spot, he never did. It was never the right spot. I don't know where you put those things, but he never got it right.
I tend to try and wrap them pretty fast and get them under the tree pretty fast, because our place isn't that big, right? So
yeah.
And I mean, it's only in the last few years too. Like before that, you were still on board with Santa. So as far as you guys were concerned, just a big tubby guy popped in on Christmas Eve and left stuff behind.
Mm-hmm. And also, we've been putting out the presents early under the tree, too, which I love.
Yeah, it's
'Cause they
nice.
build up.
It's just nice. Like to me, that's kind of Christmas, right? It's the tree with a few wrapped gifts under the tree. That there's something aside from the commercial nature of it. I mean, it's just nice. It's nice that people are given to other people and given to each other, and I like that. I loved buying presents when I was a kid. Like when I got a bit older and had a bit of money, and I could put presents that I actually bought under the tree. It's fun, and it's fun to watch. That's something I like. Is one of my favorite things is watching somebody open a gift, right?
Yeah.
And seeing their reaction.
The best is when you get to go to bed a little later on Christmas, because it doesn't matter. You're not going to get to sleep anyways. And it's dark, and the Christmas lights are on, and there's just kind of a really nice feeling like everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy, no one's upset.
Yeah, you love the lights in the tree.
Watching Christmas movies, eating junk food. And then, I know, Madish and I are little fiends for stockings. I know that.
Yeah, you guys love a stocking.
You make the best stockings.
I like them too, though. That's why. Because when I was a kid, I loved the stocking. It was my favorite thing.
The Tic Tacs, the little figurines. I don't know. It's
just fun to empty it all out and see all of the smaller things. And there's usually some sketchy food in there, like sketchy candy and stuff. That makes it fun. Yeah, I like that too.
I don't know. For me, it's Christmas Eve. Because on Christmas morning, you open the presents. Well, actually, no, you make it last. You cook us a Christmas breakfast with hash browns and bacon and eggs and...
Homemade hash browns.
Yeah, and pancakes. So, I think... I don't know. Christmas Eve, though. Christmas Eve takes the trophy.
I would agree. I think that that was always my favorite, too. Everybody's gathered together, and it's just cozy. It's just really super cozy. There's something really cozy about Christmas Eve.
Yeah. You just kind of have a good feeling.
Yeah.
That's the best. Christmas Eve.
Yes, you're a big Christmas fan.
I'm a Christmas Eve fiend.
Yeah, that whole few days is
December.
Huge.
I'm a December fiend.
Yeah, it's your favorite month for sure.
Yeah, I indulge in being a Christmas baby.
Yeah, why not?
I mean,
I don't blame you. I get February.
Valentine's Day.
A made-up holiday. A made-up day. Well, I guess they're all made up, but yours is awesome.
Yeah, mine is the best.
I think so, yeah.
Literally no holiday beats Christmas. Like, I knew a kid that was like, I was like, oh, what's your favorite holiday? Easter. Brother said Easter.
Okay, but I don't know. Maybe they have some... I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird one for sure. But maybe a very religious family, maybe.
I only celebrated Easter once.
Actually, to be fair, I grew up in a Catholic environment, and Easter was a fun day because you got off of school and there was the egg hunt. The eggs were hidden everywhere, and you got the actually, that kid that's not so crazy, because the more I think about it, man, I love that chocolate bunny. Like, you'd get the chocolate and the egg hunt, and Easter's kind of fun too.
Sorry guys, that was a pen that just dropped. Our next topic of the day is the medieval times / how did the medieval time get its name?
All right.
So, like for the witch trials, I have a paper written for this one too. It's in Spanish, but I'll just translate it into English, so.
Well.
Subtle flex.
I have a few things in my head that have just been clowning around over the years about the medieval times because of its, complete gonzo berserkerness of that period of time. It's like from the 500s to the 1500s. It was 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Basically, it was when it was at the end of the Roman Empire, and then the 1500s, sort of just before the Renaissance. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what they call the medieval times. I know the word comes from Latin, like medium, avum, something like that, pretty close. And it literally means Middle Ages. Oh. So and it's only a term that came about sort of after the Middle Ages too, right? Like, it's not in the middle of, year 1000, they're going, oh boy, it sucks to be in the Middle Ages.
Yeah. Actually, I have a pretty weird, like, kind of awkward fact about the medieval times. So we have dentists now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we see a hole in our tooth. It's like, oh, that's a cavity. Let's get it filled, right? Well, wrong, because back in that day, the dentists, air quotation marks, like to look at people's teeth and they'd be like, oh, there's a hole in the teeth. There's a tooth worm in there. Oh yeah, tooth
Nice.
worm. So the way that they would remove these worms was they would take boiling water and have the person tip their head, pour the boiling water onto the tooth, and supposedly the worm would crawl its way out and then dribble onto a tin pan. So it's pretty...
But
It's a pretty weird fact.
this is like the last week, though, Salem witch thing. Like, what when no worms were coming out, was nobody like, okay, the whole scalding of my inside of my mouth and gums, you know?
Worth it?
Yeah. Like, did nobody say, hey, there's no worm?
I don't know, but
People are nuts.
I know.
I'm always fascinated by it, for sure. Like that medieval, because in my mind you always picture like some dude swinging a stick with a chain and then a ball with spikes on it attached to it. Like,
Yeah.
To me, I just think of people sort of being really brutal and grubby and mean.
The way I
But
picture...
it was more than just that.
The way I picture the medieval times is kind of like, you know, the castle at the very end of the town.
Yeah.
And then at the front of the town is kind of like maybe a little river and then some shops where you wield
Yeah.
the welder who welds the
Yeah.
soldiers' shields and stuff and armor, like the knight
Yeah.
stuff. And I picture, I don't know, I just picture
You
it
have
all
a way
being,
gentler vision of it than I do.
I just picture it all being very kind of gloomy and everything's kind of dark, and in my head the color is kind of washed.
Yeah, definitely. I think
Not
that,
many
like,
bright
not much
colors.
color. No.
Like the brightest colors maybe a maroon.
Wow, specifically,
No,
medieval times
specifically.
were big on maroon.
Maroon and mustard yellow.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get aquamarines or no teals.
And I picture like a princess.
Not much pink.
No. I picture a princess in maybe an off-white gown walking out of the castle, and like everyone turns to look, you know, and there's like the welding sound in the background and horse paws like that.
Oh, I see.
So-
I have a lot of people just walking paths, places where it's just.
And even though I'm older, I still picture there being ogres and dragons. Like, even though I'm 13, like, I still picture.
Scary times.
Yeah.
No, I think it probably was scary times to live, you know. A big time of change, humongous amount of change in that 1,000 years, like going from sort of much more primitive society and then coming out, like, although the Roman Empire wasn't primitive, but it's like a dark time. Like the lights just went out for 1,000 years, you know.
Yeah.
The empire ended, and then I think what happened is there was just fracturing, especially in Europe. Like everything became much more, rather than one big centralized tribe running the show,
Right.
it just became decentralized. So you had a bunch of little fiefdoms and you know, cruel people running around in charge. I think it's probably a pretty cruel time to live, like as far as a really difficult time to survive. A lot of change, and there was also a migration. There was a lot of people migrated at the time into Europe, so you would have had this huge influx of people from everywhere. And so there was just a restructuring of the whole society and everything.
I also picture the Black Plague when I think of the medieval times. I just always do when I think of the medieval times. I think the Black Plague.
Yeah.
'Cause
famine and disease, like a big part of it, for
Did
sure.
you know that the Black Plague actually started from rats, and fleas or mosquitoes would land on the rats, and then they would carry the disease to humans,
Right.
and they would mark X's on diseased people's doors.
Yeah. Yeah, just horrible.
And
like,
they had like special things made because they ran out of coffins.
I forget the percentage of people that died was outrageous.
It was like, I think...
super high.
I think something like, I don't know, 2 million...
But I mean, just the
people?
percentage of the population,
Oh,
like...
I'll look it up.
Sure. I think it was high, 50%, maybe even higher. Like half the population died.
Of people that died.
Famine and disease was a big part of it. It's actually, I think, in large part why the medieval times ended, was just famine and disease, and then they had to figure out ways to come out of that. Like everybody collectively had got together and was sort of like, okay, this is definitely not working. It's time for us to start listening to the scientists. Like it's time to start putting some of our voodoo away, some of our more primitive understandings of life, and embrace, like the 1500s were coming around. There's brilliant people coming up with brilliant concepts. Now we're getting out of an earth-centered world into, like there's a whole bunch of things changing then.
Yeah. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
75 to 200 million people died.
Yeah.
So anywhere between 30% and 50% of the world's population.
It's insane. Think about that.
And it's also kind of crazy because it just shows how much the population has grown. Because 200 million people now is nothing.
Yeah, true. Good point.
Like, then 200 million people was 50% of the population.
Right.
Whereas now 200 million people
it's a very small percentage.
Yeah.
Like there's 8 billion people now.
Exactly. So it just goes to show how much it's changed.
Definitely.
Like.
Yeah, no, very, very specific time in the world. Everybody has their own sort of idea of what the Middle Ages represented.
Definitely. Wow.
So that gets us to where we are now.
Yeah. We have a pretty good lineup of segments for today. So today we have Change Happens.
Okay.
I'm in charge of this one today.
Yeah, that's you today.
And I think this aligns with change. I mean, it had a big change in my life.
Okay.
So the first time that you stood up for yourself.
That's huge.
And what kind of change it had on you. Do you want to start us off?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have to think about it. That's that's a very, very good one.
The first time I remember standing up for myself was actually in San Pancho when I was like little at Escuela del Mundo. And actually,
wow, that is, yeah.
And I actually just thought of this not long ago. It just popped into my head because I was trying to think of something for Change Happens. I was like, oh, what about the first time you stood up for yourself? And so I was like, oh, well, how many schools have I been to? So then I was like...
You were a fierce little creature.
Yeah. This one girl who was new to the school, I think, and she would, like, bite people, and she was just kind of mean overall. I just had enough of it because she'd bit me at this point. I don't know. I didn't want to tell the teacher.
You draw the line at the biting, do you?
Yeah. Even though I'm a biter. I didn't want to tell the teacher. Maybe
that's where you got it from.
Yeah. I didn't want to tell the teacher. Then I'd be a rat, So I was just like, okay, well, I'll just handle it myself. So I walked up to the girl. I was
That's not very Mexico of you.
I was like, don't bite me again or I'll hit you. Straight up said that.
Aren't you supposed to tell on everybody?
Yeah, but I don't. That's not how I was raised.
No,
I actually have never told anyone this. I just forgot about this until recently. I straight up walked to the girl. I was like, don't bite me or I will hit you. And she was like, no, you won't. And I hit her.
Well, you weren't brought up like that either.
Yeah, well...
This was before jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I mean, it wasn't... I was like, what, 4 or 5?
Yeah,
it's not like I balled up my fist and was like, come get some, you know what I mean? It was just like a dinky, like hit to the forearm.
So she had bitten you before.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, don't bite me again.
She was a serial biter.
Yeah. I was like, don't bite me again or I'll hit you. I don't even know if she was in my grade. I think she might have been older.
So what was the outcome? What did she do?
She didn't bite me again.
That's reinforces that behavior.
Yeah. The way that changed me was just kind of like, it showed me that I don't have to let things happen to me. Also, she didn't tell on me either.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
But that there's also ways to handle it that aren't hitting people.
Yeah.
But I think it changed me hugely because it kind of showed me that, okay, well, Scout, you can stand up for yourself.
I wonder if that's a common thing for most humans if your first experience with standing up for yourself is physical. Like if it's it's the nature of being a person, right? It's a physical existence, no matter how you want to spin it up. And maybe the first time you remember, because for me it definitely is.
And I don't remember much about the story. I just remember the kid biting me, and then me telling her not to do it again, then hitting her because she said, "No, you won't." So I don't remember much about it. I don't remember this girl, what her name was. I don't even remember what she looks like. All I remember is telling her not to do it again.
Mm-hmm. And feeling good about it afterwards.
Oh, I felt really good.
There was no repercussions. Like you say, you just tapped her on the arm.
I mean, I was little, and I obviously felt bad about it after. I was like, okay, I just hit a girl.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I don't think that's obvious.
I wasn't like... No, it's not obvious.
No, you could feel good or bad. I mean, it would depend on the circumstances. Yeah, like I also wasn't crying because I felt so bad. I told her not to. Then she came back with a sassy response and... Well, and biting is very intrusive, obviously. Yeah. Like it's more than getting in space. It's trying to take some of the space away from you physically.
Imagine if you're just sitting on the swing and some kid older than you, bigger than you, stronger than you walks up to you and grabs your arm and bites you. I don't know if that's what happened, but I'm saying she did bite me.
It certainly helps to support your position if that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the first time I remember standing up for myself. I mean, I had a huge change. I was a kid, so I didn't think much of it, you know. I was just like, well, I just stood up for myself. That's that. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think anything of it. Like, that's why I didn't come home and tell you and Mom, because I was just like, oh, well.
Yeah, it's just business. You took care of some business.
Yeah. I mean, I did think it was a big deal, because...
Well, you've definitely been brought up that you can't go around striking people.
100%.
But it is tricky. There's times when somebody keeps biting you. Well, you have to do something. You say stop, and they won't stop. It's tough as a parent. It's tough to tell a kid this is how you should handle this or shouldn't handle this, because there's times when you think, well, I mean, you're going to have to do something about this.
I just remember her being bigger than me. Mm-hmm. Like, that's all I remember. So in my head it was like, well, she's bigger than me, so I'm not just gonna stand here and be like, could you please not bite me again? So in my head I was like, well, I have to take major actions to this, you know? So in my head I was like, well, it's either I do this or nothing's gonna come of it.
And you would have at that point probably seen some schoolyard encounters be finished in this manner.
Yeah.
Right? Because you weren't seeing it at home or anything. So you would have known that, okay, sometimes conflict is ended with one of the people squaring up to the other one.
Yeah.
Because it's true, it is. Like, isn't it, you see that throughout your life? I just knew
that I didn't like being bit by another kid.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that was going through my head. All that was going through my head was, this kid's bigger than me and I don't want to get bit by her again.
Right.
It wasn't a pleasant experience. So I'm going to do something to not get bit again.
Well.
So.
Problem solved.
Yeah. I mean, one thing's for sure.
Plus,
she never bit
me. Word got out.
Yeah.
This little gringa.
She will hit you on the forearm.
Out, she got the cray.
Do you want to tell us your story?
For me, it was for sure that the bus thing. Yeah. I don't know if that's really a story needs to be told.
Hey, I told my story.
Well, yeah, but
How old were you? 4, 5?
I was 5. But our tens of listeners are going to see a pattern forming amongst the family.
Guys, my dad and I are very scrappy. This has nothing to do with the way we were brought up.
We're not, though, particularly scrappy. That definitely, like...
If people are being mean or intruding in our personal space, we can get...
We're disinclined to accept that behavior, yeah.
That it has nothing to do with the way we're brought up. It's just that it's in... I don't know, I just got your gene.
I know,
I don't know whose gene you got.
Telling chainsaw stories and now, like...
Yeah, but do you not understand that people find this entertaining?
Well, yeah, it's for sure, and so
Moral
does the
of
judge.
The story, Dad did not let an older kid bully him on the bus.
Well, he was being super mean.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, okay. I mean, that's the first time for me that I remember standing up for myself. But it's pretty traumatic too, right?
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, the kid wouldn't stop making fun of me because my mom had made me a Halloween costume, and it provided fodder for him. He was in grade 6. Like, he was a neighborhood kid. I know who he was.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Picking
and I
on
was
a 5-year-old as a 12-year-old?
Yeah, I was in kindergarten. He was 11 because in Canada, it was
because there's
a
grade
year
13.
Earlier. Yeah. Well, not anymore, but he was 11 and I was 5.
That's actually insane.
Yeah,
That's
was
like
just...
if I was picking on, like...
Yeah, it was bad. And he just wouldn't stop, and it was focusing attention on me, and I had no idea that these kind of things were part of the world really going forward. I just thought you derped around and
as a 5-year-old wearing a Halloween costume that your mom made you, you're just kind of like...
had an older neighbor you had a little crush on walked you to the bus stop and life was good.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that there's things could take an ugly turn.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he just wouldn't stop. And kids, people he just wouldn't stop. And it was mean. It was more the vibe. I remember the vibe, and I didn't understand his energy. Like, I didn't know anything about that at the time, but it was this weird feeling. Like, it was like, why are you being gross to me? Like, more than the words or anything, it was just like the everything was gross. Yeah. And he just wouldn't stop the whole bus ride. It was like I was on the bus. I was the first one on and the last one off kind of thing. Oh. So I had, it was a long ride, and we got off and he was behind me, like a couple of kids behind me, and he was still going on. This is how I remember it anyhow.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I cracked him with my metal lunch pail, which is, But,
yeah, but you were 5. You were being bullied.
Yeah,
your mom made you a Halloween costume.
Yeah. It was very satisfying, I'm not going to lie. The look on his face was beautiful, even though I'll remember it because it instantly stopped him in his tracks. And I think it did, too. I think it really made him think, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? I just made this 5-year-old turn into a berserker.
Yeah.
So, that was... I remember that. That's the first time I remember being forced to actually take a stand and know that, I had to do something. Yeah. That was the thing. I had to do something. I got in a lot of trouble for it, right? Because, that's the way it works. Like, the person who responds is the one who, like in hockey, the one who does something back is the one the referee sees and calls. Yeah. Like, it was very unpleasant, but I don't feel bad about it because it was so ugly. Like, he was being so ugly, and I just didn't know what else to do. And it did teach me that you need to stand up for yourself. It taught me, too, that you can't be physically engaging people without there being ramifications, because there were. Like, I was the one who got in trouble. Yeah. And you're 5, it's hard to explain. Oh, it's because he was being mean. Yeah. Like, people are like, yeah, whatever, man, you can't do that. And I was like, all right, fair enough, you can't do that, but I can tell you what you can do is you can stand up for yourself. Yeah. So I learned that. I
don't think that being violent is like a good answer, but like when you're little, you're 5 or 6 or 4, mm-hmm. you it's not like you're gonna stop to think, am I gonna hit her? Or am I gonna... You don't do that as a little kid.
No, but you also...
You react.
Yes, so, but it's still, at an early age, it's necessary to learn that that's not an excuse. Yeah. Like, you just don't have carte blanche to do whatever you want.
I don't remember the last time I
did too.
I don't remember the last time I hit someone, like...
No, you're not hitty too much.
Yeah.
No, you definitely have a fierceness to you, but you're definitely you're not a threat to go ballistic on somebody. Mm-hmm. All right, there you go. All right, so that shines some light on the gentleness that is us.
Yes. I'm a very gentle person.
Okay. All right, you're weirdly whispering. Oh, you're doing some ASMR weirdness. Gentle. Okay. Nope.
You're gonna listen to that when you're done. You're gonna be like, oh, maybe I'll have Scout make a recording of that for me.
Never gonna happen. Never. All right,
let's move on to our next segment. Okay, our next segment is it's your segment.
Well, aren't you our MC here? I thought you were the MC.
Our next segment is weirdness.
I can do it. I can do it. Ready? Yeah.
I'll do it.
All right.
Our next segment is weirdness.
Weirdness. You like that? All right.
Father's in charge of this one.
So I got weirdness today. Yeah. All I can think about is a platypus. I think that a platypus cannot go unrecognized by anyone for any great length of time. I mean, you should really consider a platypus at least once a month because they're just so bizarre. Like, if anybody doesn't have a good picture of one, they really have got to look it up. Like the duck bill, the webbed feet, the whole mammal that lays eggs, hunts on the bottom for scroungy catfish food. They're only a couple of feet long, too. I just think that a platypus needs to be considered regularly because it's like an accident. It's like somebody glued a part of this to a part of that. And
what is this?
Are you looking one up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a duck's bill, webbed feet, a beaver's tail, an otter's body and fur.
You know how people have their Roman empires? They're like, oh, that thing's my Roman Empire. Like if they think something's so cool,
no, is
they're
that a
like,
thing
oh,
now?
that's my Roman Empire. Yeah,
okay.
Whenever I think of your Roman Empire, I honestly think of platypus because this is not the first time you've brought up a platypus to me.
Well, they're fantastically interesting to consider. Like you just look at one and
it's insane.
But
they're kind of cute.
It's like it was made up.
Like the beaver body, the duck feet, and then the beak.
The first
look at a baby
the first
one.
scientists, for real, the first scientists that started considering them, they thought they were a victim of a hoax. Like somebody had managed to stick a duck's bill onto another animal's face or something. Yeah, they don't make any sense at all.
But they're actually kind of cute. Like the baby ones. Aww. Dad, they're so cute.
Yeah, but they're weird.
I'm going to put one on my Christmas list.
That's as weird as an animal gets.
A blobfish?
No, come on. That thing has a duck's bill, webbed feet. It's got a hairy body. It's a mammal that lays eggs.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. It's a mammal that lays eggs, Scout.
What is this?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't get any weirder in the animal kingdom.
So this is your weirdness of the episode?
Yeah, that's my weirdness.
Okay. I think that's a pretty good way to wrap up the episode.
There you go.
Thank you very much for this episode.
See, now you leaned into that. Perfect. Yep,
No, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it was a pleasure, as always, daughter o' mine.
As me for you.
I love you very much.
I love you too.
Okay then.
Okay then.
Next time.
Next time.
Mm-hmm.